All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. And I want to just let you in on the conversation I'm having right now. Like, okay, right, what's the name of this talk again? And I'm hearing, right. And they say, who do you think is in charge anyway? And I said, clearly not me, clearly not me. And so always in my work, I just surrender. I actually got the henna tattoo, surrender, the other day just to say, you know what, I am just the messenger. So you too can do this. Just listen to the listen. Just listen. So today I am going to talk sometimes really slow because as I listen, I get the information and then I pass it along. And sometimes I'll close my eyes so that I can listen more carefully. And at the end, we'll have a question and answer session. And so sometimes you might be compelled to ask, who are you talking to? And when I channel, which just means I let the information flow through me, I channel truth. So there's that. So today, I'm going to use some language, to cover all bases. And the reason being is because, so I'm having an argument at the same time while I'm talking. Because I'm going, where do you want me to really go with this? I want to say it like this. I am here today, and the reason why we're filming this, I was being asked to film it, is because I really want to, I'm supposed to let this information or this stuff come through so that it affects everybody, no matter what spiritual truth that you adhere to, or no matter what path that you choose in your life. So therefore, some of you will be asked to be tolerant to other belief systems that don't really work for you, but to realize that maybe for your neighbor, that's their path. And so I just ask that you all approach listening to this with an open heart and an open mind, and realize that there's many paths and many possibilities when you are trying to seek higher truth. That was pretty good. Okay, so I use the term God, but for some of you, you might use the term Great Spirit, Satnam, which means holy name. You might use the term the mystery or the source or higher power or greater truth or abundance or all that is or the great I am. It is all the same no matter what you call me. So guess what? That's like, whoo, coming from the source. Now, when I work, you're going to see me flipping between Constance talking to spirit, listening and giving you a message, mediumship, and channeling where spirit just speaks through me. And the real difference is that when I act as a medium or act as the kind of the messenger, sometimes I have to interpret the information because maybe I see or I hear and I have to say, is that what you mean? Where when I just channel and let spirit come in me, it's just more profound. So I usually do as I'm told. So I want to start with a story, and they're showing me one beautiful story. So I'm like, oh, really, that story? Okay, so there was this beautiful, highly autistic boy that I met. And this was before I realized how amazing autistic people are and how they can actually read your mind and your thoughts or your vibration. Everything is made up of energy, so maybe they see your energy field. And this one boy was with his mother when he was quite young. He was in her arms, and when he was kind of wailing, I was not so aware. And I was in my mind saying, wow, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you so upset? What's going on? And it came off as very judgmental. I'll admit that, not perfect. Striving to be the seeker, the enlightened, or the aware being, like we all are. Anyway, the boy struck out and thrashed me right across the face. I'm like, hey, you know what? Good on you. Well done. How did he know my thoughts? Fast forward, he was then like 9 or so. And my thing is that I am a seeker, so I've sought out all these spiritual practices on the planet and all of that. And so one time I was working with Jesus, Christ consciousness, Christ energy, and Jesus said, I want to show you what it's like if you channel me and let me into your energy field. I want you to see through my eyes and see how that is. And so one day, as I was walking into the schoolyard to pick my children, Jesus moved into my energy field, and I was so filled with love. I got into school, I sat down, and I just heard these words, just wait, and I am so full of love and light. And this little boy, who's now older, comes out into the waiting room where I am to be collected by his mother and his aunt that he adores. And he heads, like he's heading towards them, but he's not. Now this boy is non-vocal, extremely autistic, and he sees me and he comes rushing at me, and I'm sitting down and he comes rushing at me, and he puts his hands in his face in my lap, and he kisses my hands, and he does this, and I'm weeping because it's not me he's seeing Jesus, this whole, and I'm crying because I was like, oh my gosh, and he just stayed like that for a while, and then he went to his mother and his aunt. I was floored. Segue. Another story. These are all illustrations as to why do I teach this? Which one? The dog. I get to tell 2 animal stories. I'm so excited. My dog last night, Champ, he comes in the laundry room. I'm in the laundry room, and Champ comes in, and I'm like, what? Because he won't leave me alone. He's like, I'm hungry. I said, it's not time to eat. He says, you eat when you're hungry. I said, well done, okay. So I fed him. It was a half hour before his dinner time. Fine. The other story that I want to say is I was walking in the woods. Is that the story? I was walking in the woods with some bhakti monks. And bhaktis are on the path of love and devotion and service. And we were walking and talking about our mystical experiences and being in tune with each other in love and devotion. And they were asking me, what other kind of experiences have you had? And so I said to them, when I was little, I used to, keep going. I used to seek out the tree stumps. And I'm like, who does this? And I would stand and I would be the rest of the tree. I've always had this affinity towards trees. Like, who does this? So fast forward from youth to later when I was doing energy balancing, I was doing Reiki work on a person, and it was at the time when I was also delivering messages that I would get for the people. I had my hands on her. It was an amazing story. Her mother came through. How did I know? Because I felt energy in the room. I looked over in the corner of the room, and I saw this in my mind's eye, this bright light, and I said, who are you? And I felt mother energy. And so I said, your mother's here. Is she on the other side? She said, yes. So they were delicious, lovely memories going back and forth. So I'm like, okay, great. Now Spirit had made a breakthrough, so they went the extra mile. My hands are on her legs, and they're saying, tell her she was a tree. Tell her she was a tree. I am like, I am so not going to tell her she's a tree. She'll think I'm nuts. Tell her she was a tree. I was like, oh. This was before when I would say, not that I would edit. I don't edit. I can't edit because you just can't. I said, okay, how am I going to say this so she doesn't think I'm crazy? I said, listen, there's some people that really like trees. I get that you're one of those, like you could totally get a lot from hugging trees. You should go out and hug trees, ground your energy. That would just get a lot for you. Do you understand? She's like, yeah, I guess, yeah. And Spirit's like, don't let us down. Don't let us down. Tell her she was a tree. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm like, really? Really? You're totally tripping with my belief paradigms. I was brought up a certain way, and this is so new for me. Are you serious? Tell her she was a tree. Okay, listen, here's the deal. You were a tree in another life. Okay, that's all I'm saying. She sat up bolt right on the treatment table. She said, oh my God, that makes so much sense to me. I used to have nightmares that there was a circular blade coming up my midsection. as a child. I was like, okay, thanks. I was like, oh my God, after this session, I thought I've seen everything. Okay, so there we are on the path with the Bhakti monks in the woods. They say, so, wow, what else? And I said, oh, spirits, meanwhile, saying, tell her about the rocks. I'm like, tell them about the rocks. And I'm arguing with spirit, which I often do. I'm not going to tell them about the rocks. You know, I have my sanity. They're going to think I'm nuts. Tell her about the rocks. Tell them about the rocks. They're not, they're men. I was like, okay, so there's this other thing. I've heard rocks talk. And then one guy goes, we have those in our ancient texts, that the saints in our culture have talked to rocks and heard rocks. Would you teach me to talk to rocks? And I said, yes, I will. So the cat's out of the bag. I've told the whole world or whoever goes on YouTube to watch this. So let me tell you about rocks. I was living in Colorado. I think I was barely 31 or whatever, or maybe I was 20, late 20s, just doing a normal life, totally not really into all this at all. And every morning I would go from one part of Colorado to Steamboat, where I worked. It was every morning, and every morning I'd pass this gorgeous waterway and this rocky cliff formation. And every morning I felt the pull, and I didn't want to look at the rock formation. At a point, I didn't want to look. And so finally, one morning, I heard this voice say, why do you keep ignoring us? I was like, why do you keep ignoring us? And I said, because I don't believe that I can talk to you. Are you talking to me? It freaked me out. Fast forward in my, I don't know, early 40s. And I remember I was in the woods or something, and I was, just kind of tuning into nature and all this stuff, and just being present in the sacred space that nature is. And I moved a rock, without asking permission. Kids probably know this. Kids that bring these rock presents probably know this. And as soon as I did, there were little critters underneath, and I knew I couldn't replace the rock because I would have squished some of the critters. So I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. And the rock said, you didn't ask to move me. You have to ask. So now, light years later, no, one more story. I'm like, serious? So I got together with some friends early on in my work of saying, all right, I'm going to succumb to this stuff of hearing. I got with a circle of 2 other women, and we would sit and we would just pitch up and say, let's just connect with whoever wants to get in touch with us. Well, total off-planet beings came through. Off-planet beings, ET, whatever you want to call them. And I was like, wow. And it was probably because one of the women was really supposed to work with them. But I knew it wasn't so much my calling as much as some other stuff later. But I realized very clearly that this too is a thread of communication in the metaphysical realm, the beyond physical realm. So why do I tell you all these stories? I tell them because I feel like today anyway, God, I'm going to use that word God, Great Spirit, whatever, has said to me, Constance, I just really want you to talk to everybody, no matter where they're at and where they're from, but I want you to acknowledge, as seekers, their path to me, all paths, if you keep going high, all paths lead to the source. And so I honor all of you that connect in these different ways. And I honor all of you that want to learn to connect in these different ways. I'm asking if I could talk about what irritates me. Can I talk about what irritates me? Okay. What irritates me is when people say, they use the wrong words. Oh, thank you, that's how I'll put this. I really feel like I'm a communication specialist. That just came to me today. I'm like, really? It's because my work is really to refine and define the pathways of communication on a metaphysical level. And so it irritates me when people use words the wrong way. When they say, hi, I'm an intuitive, intuition implies that you are only getting information in a way of claircognizance, which is direct knowing, because intuition is about getting information without the use of reasoning. And to hear or to see something, you have to use your reasoning skills to assess what the information is, what it's about. And so sometimes it bothers me when people use I'm an intuitive, because I don't think that they really know the accurate usage of that term or the meaning of the term. The other word that's wicked outdated is clairvoyant. You all know that this is an outdated term, so I guess we're getting into the terminology of how we get information. Clairvoyance is inner sight. And so that word only means that you get information by way of sight. And I said, aren't we off track a little? And Spirit's saying, no, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm like, okay, I want to trust you. So now, there's in the next sentence. So part of this now is to help you discern what are the ways that you get information? What are the ways that you can assess that inner knowing, the inner dialogue or the inner communication, so that we can get closer not only to our soul self, but to ourself, but to each other, to the planet, to all beings everywhere. And of course, my greatest purpose is to get closer to the divine source. So today, some of this information might be old information, some of it might be new information. So bear with me in regards to this learning for whatever reason. Yeah. All right. So another word that drives me a little batty because it's really old. It's I think it's from the 1800s, is telepathic communication. That comes from the word tele, meaning distance, and pathos coming from the word meaning emotion. And if you think of this as telepathic communication, when I talk to spirits or I talk to the trees or whatnot, it's really not just emotional content, and it's really not at a distance, because of quantum physics, we now realize that there's really no distance between anything. And that's a whole nother talk I'm sure they're going to try to talk me into, is that the whole oneness principle that I totally am like, what? But a term that I use instead is interpsychic rapport. And the reason I use this term is, and I've actually put it on a handout sheet, is because inter means from point to point, and psychic is the term for the soul. It's from the word psyche, which means soul, and rapport is relationship. So it's literally means between or among soul relationship. So I want to honor the fact that some of you that are hearing this either are using this or will need to use this in the coming months ahead, or will need to use this in your work or in your vocation or in your life. And so, story, illustrative story. I was in the kitchen, and my daughter's guinea pigs were making quite a squeak upstairs in our house. And they were making such racket, and nobody else was home. And I said, finally, I thought, you know what, I'm only listening with the outer ear to hear. Let me listen on the inside. And so in my mind, I said, what is wrong? And the first thing I heard back was, we have no water. And I said, that's crazy. I said to them in my mind, she cleaned your cage yesterday. Of course you have water. We haven't had water for days. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go upstairs and I'll look. So I go to the guinea pig cage, and sure enough, the water bottle's empty. And I race to the bathroom, and I fill the water bottle up, and I put it in the cage. I hate cages. Can I just say I hate cages? I don't even like the fact that the guinea pigs were in a cage, but whatever. Put the water bottle in, and they start fighting over the water. they start fighting over the water, so I quickly get a dish and I give them the water so that they can both get at the water. When my daughter comes home later, I said, honey, you didn't give the guinea pigs water. Oh no, they must have just ran out. I'm like, honey, they said they haven't had water for days. Ooh, I hate that you can do this, Mom. But you know what? We all can. There's nothing special about me. Nothing. We all can. We all can. We all can talk to trees if we want to listen. It's all you if you want to talk to rocks and gemstones. Animals, easy. People, loved ones on the other side, you can talk to non-vocal humans. I'm going to tell you another story. It was my first conversation with a non-vocal human. She was bedridden, so I think she was quadriplegic, but I knew her caregiver. And I went over to the house, and she was like a teenager, 14, maybe 15. And I thought, well, let me just see if I can do this. You know, I'm always like, you know, if I can talk to animals and people on the other side, I can talk to someone here, right? So I go in a separate room where she is, and I just kind of quiet and, you know, it's just with intention, and we'll go over this after a bit, but it's just with intention, and I say, hi, I'm here. She goes, of course I know you're here. Oh, such a teenager. And I said, is there anything you want me to know that I can pass along to your caregiver? And she said, yes. Can you tell her not to change my clothes when her daughters are in the room? I was like, wow. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound awful. Looking at her, she is often with eyes closed, so you would not have thought. You hello. So when I told the caregiver, she was, of course, floored. She hadn't thought about that. We're all girls. So you can use what I'm going to remind you about today, because some of you probably already do this. Thank you for doing this. You can use the same mode of communication to talk to her, like the non-vocals higher consciousness. You can use it to talk to, like, I can talk to, you know, a friend no matter where they are in Arizona, and say, did you get that message? Or, you know, it's the old call me, and then they call like an hour later. You're like, you're late. You can use it to talk to loved ones that have crossed over. You can use it, it's the same way of communication to spirit guides or evolved beings on the other side. You can use it to talk to the angels. You can use it to talk to the divine. You can use it to talk to off-planet beings from other galaxies. That's like so out of my comfort zone, because I'm like, oof, I was raised Catholic, okay. But whatever, because you know what? Reality's reality, dude, get over it. That's what I'm hearing. Like, yeah, gotcha. I mean, I know, because I know, like, anyway, having a quiet little conversation on the side. A lot, and I'm getting what's that word? No, you're just saying to me, excuse me, but a lot of the inventions that you came up with is because we've downloaded and given them to you. I'm like, okay, gotcha, clear. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm not such a United Nation, planetary nation person, am I? But this is actually what it feels like today. I was like, wow, there's going to be people from everywhere watching this or participating in this today. And I just want to remind you that we all have work to do. Yeah, see, they're like, can you just leave the papers? I'm like, yeah, but you told me all last night, and so then I want to, okay, right. I'm looking for the title of the talk. So the title of the talk is Guidance for Raising Metaphysical Consciousness. Metaphysical means beyond physical. Consciousness is just your awareness and perception. So this is about receiving guidance for greater awareness and perception to that which is not necessarily physical. The other part of this talk is about the importance of being spiritually grounded through change. And by spiritually grounded, I mean that in the way of spirit as in soul. Everybody knows this. I mean, this is old stuff. Some of this stuff is so ancient. You guys know this already, you guys and gals. That we are body and soul. And so mostly I'm going to focus on the soul, the development of the soul. And by that, I mean I'm going to work with your psyche. Psyche is just the word for soul. And so a lot of this stuff is, I'm going to get out of my way. It's just stuff that totally comes through on a soul level. So this is not stuff that you will see with the physical eyes to see, or not necessarily, because sometimes some of you actually see it in the physical realm. This is also stuff that you're going to hear on the inner ear. Now, I've handed you out sheets, and they're going to be available if you email me, or I'll maybe post them on the Facebook page. And these are terms that you've heard before. Clairaudience for hearing, clairvoyance for seeing. Now, when you see an image in your mind's eye, when Spirit imposes an image in your mind's eye, it's usually literal or symbolic in meaning, and you just have to discern what it is. How is that information trying to be relayed to me? You're also going to, the language of the soul is also about feeling, not just on the physical level, although sometimes spirit can affect us physically through clairsentience, which is like you get a sensation to let you know. Oftentimes when spirit shows up in the room, I could feel their presence. I could really feel them near. Or when I'm asking questions, is this from you? I get a warm sensation in my body physical, or you can feel that the connection is true and clear. There's also clairempathy. That's emotional component. Like when I work with people's loved ones that have crossed over, I've done a lot of work before with kids that have died tragically in car accidents, and the parents want to get in touch, or friends want to gather in a circle to get in touch. A lot of times the kids relate to me emotionally about what their friends are going through to prove that this is who they're talking to, or that I'm actually got the loved one that has crossed. And so clairempathy is an emotional thing. And so sometimes we feel it in our body, whatever spirit's trying to convey to us. Another one, if you want to look at your sheet, is taste, which is clairgustant. And I've only had taste on a few occasions where it's really about spirits trying to get a message to me in regards to taste. And so it is a way that we receive psychic information or soul information through the soul. Smell is, there's a few different words we've tossed around. I remember when my friend and I, before they ever came up really with a word for smell, this is why clairvoyant is so outdated. You can't call us clairvoyants anymore, because as we become more aware, these terms have greater meaning, and so we have to turn to the terms so we can all be in the same language category. So I remember when we were like, what do you think smell would be? Clairolfactory? And sure enough, that's what it is. Clairolfactory, or clairsentient, or clairalience. I don't even know how to say that. But the thing is this one is gorgeous. Like oftentimes I'll smell, I was at a computer once and working on papers, and this young man came through, and it was because I smelled this cologne in the room. So, and then it allowed me to tune in and say, okay, who's here? What's this conversation about? I remember when I was teaching this woman Reiki energy work, and I had my husband stand in as the body on the table. So we were working, and all of a sudden, I was at his feet, and I smelled chocolate chip cookies. I was like, oh my God. And it was only in this little circle of space. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I called her over. It was a one-on-one class. I called her over. I said, it's here, right here, smell. She was like, oh my God, chocolate chip cookies. I said, excellent. Now close your eyes, because I was like, you smell it too. My husband didn't smell it at all. He was on the table in the wrong end. I said, smell, and now ask who's there, because somebody's clearly here. And so this woman, she said, I get it's his mom. I was like, great, so throw light at that. She didn't trust it. You always have to trust. I said, throw light at that idea that it's the mom. So in her mind's eye, she just let me throw light at it. Is it the mom? And she got a yes, because it was a feeling of like it's the mom. And then because she believed it was the mom, she saw the mom in her mind's eye in the room. She goes, but this can't be, you could tell the doubt. She had doubt, and I was like, whoa, what's the doubt about? She said, well, I get that it's the mom, but she's so short, and he's so tall. And I said, no, his mother was short. His mother was short. So she came through and gave some information, and at the end, my husband said to me, that was really all fine and dandy, but those are the wrong cookies. My mother always made oatmeal raisin cookies. And I said, lovely, honey, but I'm the channel here, I'm the medium here, and I don't like oatmeal raisin cookies. She had to get my attention. I like chocolate chip. So the messages are going to come through, and you have to be savvy on how to work this world. I've spoken in another class that I gave that that it really is, it was a journalist trade. I mean, I studied journalism, but I never did journalism, but now I do mass communications. But it really is about getting the information to us in a way that we'll hear it and understand it. So for each of you, you know, it'll be a little different. And the deal, or the idea is to work it and work it and work it and practice so you can establish relationships so that you know who you're dealing with and how to get the information. Let me go back to clairaudience. Clairaudience is when you hear information. Now, the biggest mistake people make is they think, oh, that was just my own thoughts, I made it up. Wrong. Some people hear in other voices, but most people hear in their own thoughts, in their own head. And so there's this really, when you pose a question out, it's the first thing that comes back to you. So you pose it out, and it's the first thing that comes back to you. So you have to trust that. For some people, it does come in a different voice in their head. For some people, it comes in the third dimension. So they hear it out with the outer ear. You know, sometimes people, I remember my friend's sister, she sat bolt right up in bed because Abraham Lincoln was on her bed chatting with her. Like right there in the physical, the bed sunk down. She saw him plain as day, and she heard him, and I was like, whew, I am so glad they don't show up like that for me. I'd have freaked. I mean, like, I'm like, oh, thank God, thank you. Don't do that to me. So it's all good. It's all good. So let's see, which other one? Okay. So claircognizance, I've got a few on your list that are non-sensorial, like the clairempathy, the feeling, that you really don't have a sense, it's more of a feeling. But also claircognizant is a knowing. I have some friends that get information this way, where when they connect with spirit, and I say spirit, or the metaphysical realm, they just know. They don't hear anything or see anything or feel anything. They just know the answer. This is the way a lot of times is whenever I work with the angelic realm, is before I can even get the question out or the trouble out that I have there, like we're on it, or I know the information, like I know it in my heart. Like you just know exactly. And so this is where sometimes people, when they're channeling, or maybe sometimes healthcare workers or people that are in service work, where they're saying just the right word at just the right time, and the information's just flowing through them. They don't hear it and deliver it, they're just the channel, pure, perfect channel of the information coming through. So a lot of times that's just claircognizant. You know, I sometimes work with my children. What a trip, man. We play such fun development games, psychic development games. And it's always fun for me to see how do they get information. Like I met this girl that I saw her and I was like, wow, I hear that you hear animals talk, like you hear dogs talk. She said, yeah, and I knew she doesn't do it like I do. I just hear them like they're talking. I said, can you tell me how do they talk to you? She goes, yeah, you know, it's like a book in my mind opens up and I have to read the words. This is because she's a reader. She's an avid reader. And so that's how she gets communication. The important part is for you to practice and develop this so that you learn how do they communicate with you. The last one I have on the list is a term I came up with because I called around. I'm like, what's the word for this? What's the word for this? And I'm all about language and understanding clarity. So they didn't have a word for it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make up a word. It's called shared sensory experience. And the example that I have, or how it works, is when you are sharing a sensory experience while it's occurring with the being that you're hooking into. How's that? Imperfect language. I'll give you the example. We had lost my son in town one day when my family was on the island visiting, and I was like, where is he? And we didn't have a cell phone for him and everything. And my father turned to me and said, why don't you just look through his eyes? I was like, ooh, way to go, Dad. And so I was like, hold on. Oh, he's in the game room. He is playing a shooting game. We do not have shooting games at our house. I am like, because this is what I saw. I was in him, in his being. I saw his hands on the shooting game, you know, just doing this whatever kind of thing. And boom, boom. And I just saw the screen. So shared sensory experience is a way that some of us get information too. Now, when I get information, I'm an empath, which means I go in and I feel other people's energy fields, and I go into their energy field to get the information. And so it's really important for you that are sensitives, that are empathically kind of, what's that word? Constructed as empaths, that you learn about your energy balancing and cleansing and clearing. I think I'm going to do a future talk dedicated specifically on that. You too can see it at YouTube. Because empaths have a whole nother set of ground rules to work with because they have to be clear. Otherwise, you know, you can walk around toxic. You can walk around exhausted. You can walk around just flat out tired. And so it's really important that if you discern in your time after today or in your time at home that you get information empathically because you're picking up energy, that you do ask about cleansing and clearing. So I'm just going to say that. So the biggest blocks to awareness in regards to metaphysical awareness are fear, disbelief, and overeagerness. Fear is because sometimes people are afraid of what's occurring. And I always tell my students, listen, I want you to know, are you afraid of the situation because it's new, or are you afraid because it's a scary being that you're connecting with? Very different there. You direct the course of your, you navigate your communication. If you do not like the connection and you do not like who's come forward to talk to, you can not talk to them. You can turn away and not talk to them. But if it's just fear because it's a new experience, like talking to rocks, just kind of deal with it. Kind of don't let it stop you is what I'm saying. Otherwise, you're blocking what you believe because of your filters and your own structure of belief. Disbelief, which brings me to disbelief, is that sometimes, you know, it was kind of freaky. What was that? That was a huge gap of talking to the cliff face rocks till like 10 years later, talking to the rocks in the woods. Because I was like, I can't believe that was real. I can't believe that was real. And yet it was real. It wasn't me making up the voice. It was, I mean, I always liken it to they hang up the phone. When I first started and I was connecting with loved ones that have crossed over, and I was like, this can't be real, this can't be real. It's like hanging up on them. You know, you can't, we're evolving as a planet, as a people. We're supposed to have this inner dialogue or this greater dialogue to one another, to the world at large. And you can't let your disbelief get in the way of your evolutionary journey. Also, overeagerness. Sometimes, you know, sometimes people are so overeager to go be the next whatever. Great medium or whatnot is they'll embellish. Or they'll speak out of turn, or they'll make things up. So watch out for overeagerness because it's perfect playground for the ego to jump in. And I'm not talking about ego as in your personal baggage that you have. I'm really well, though it is some of that. I'm really talking about the persona, your personality. You can't let it come in this work. Clearly, they're going to work through your knowing to let you know what it is they want you to know, but it's about really being, what are you saying without any attachment to what I'm going to put into it or add on to it. So overeagerness, let it all come at a beautiful pace, otherwise it can steer you down paths where you might be making things up. Don't make things up. You know your little piece of paper that you have that says steps, if you have this piece of paper? I handed out these sheets in case you wanted to take notes. So the first thing that I have on this is actually, you need to know some basic information with these steps. What's your intention of connecting? Who do you want to communicate with? Why? And what are your goals for the relationship? So here's the deal. Don't make the same mistakes that I did or anybody using a Ouija board does, where they're like, let's just contact anybody that wants to talk to us. That is not okay. And the reason is because if you connect with someone in spirit that has passed, not everybody that has passed is evolved. You know this. Thank you, John, Edward, and all the other gang that have gone before us. But the same is true with some, you know, off-planet beings or any being in that realm space of astral. It's called astral. Because the thing is that if you just say, I want to connect with anybody, then that's what you're going to get. And so you have to go through this whole thing. Personally, what I'd like you to do, you can do whatever you want because you're a grown-up, but what I'd like you to do is if you're going to take this home and practice it, is to decide to maybe go for a walk and talk with your animal, or maybe you want to try to talk with a tree, or maybe you want to try to listen to a rock, or maybe you want to specifically get in touch with your angels, or maybe you have a loved one that has crossed that you want to check in on, or maybe there is an enlightened being you want to work with, or maybe you want to talk to only God or the divine or the great spirit and say, you know, oh, great source or whatnot, what is my journey? What are you asking me to do in my life? So the thing is all those clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentience, those are all of the things that we use in dialogue, in psychic soul-to-soul dialogue, no matter who you want to talk to. If you want to talk to non-vocal humans, whatever. You can even talk to the higher conscience of your, like, I've done it on people that aren't hearing me, that are giving me a hard time, and I'm giving them a hard time. I'm like, listen, I'm going to sort this out in astral with them. I'm going to talk to them and say, I love you, and I don't know how to be there for you. Tell me how I can be there for you. And it's amazing what you get back. So this is soul-to-soul dialogue that you can have in any form. And it's really about knowing, you know, what ways of communication can you really work with, and what ones you want to develop as a skill. And really what it is practice and time, and really being open to help you get this information back and forth. And so here's the deal, and I've said this in other talks I've given, I am not a master at some things. It is not my task, really. I have a friend, Allison, who's teaching these amazing metaphysical classes, that she is really honed in because her mind is really with physics. So she can really work with a lot of off-planet information and stuff, and that's not my forte. And so my thing is really about straight up to God and angels, but I can also, you know, I can also work with all the realms, just because you can, we all can. And the reason why it's really important is because our consciousness is expanding. You know, we only use what percent of our brain? I really believe that the psyche, the mind-soul connection, is part of expanding consciousness. And so part of that is to realize how connected we are, not just to each other, but to nature, to animals, to beings that don't exist here on the physical plane. And it's about opening our heart in those connections. And so what we're going to do a little later is you're going to set the intention. I was like, I can't believe, I'm like, I used to give classes. Let's talk to the angels. Let's talk to the animals. Let's just talk to loved ones that have crossed over. And God's like, here's the deal. I want you to do it all at one setting. I was like, what? But of course, it'll be sincere. Of course, duh. How daft am I? Of course. So a little later, we're going to have a time that if you want to go in and connect using the steps that I have there, I'll take you through it, but you have to set the intention. So here's the deal. If you're run down and exhausted, I don't recommend that you would necessarily want to tune into a tree or a dog or whatever. What I would recommend is you ask, I like to be connected to the highest being that's aligned with my truth, that can come forward and talk to me about my exhaustion. Because maybe there's someone in, whether it's an angel or someone in higher spirit, that can come forward and assist you. But so there might be times in your life when you want higher guidance. The same way that on the physical plane we seek out and we go to a doctor, but sometimes some of you have some issues. I'm like, as I cast a light through the room, some of you have some issues now that you're not getting clinical help on. And so maybe you can get guidance in higher realms of spirit as to what might need to be done, because some of you are maybe even ignoring that truth that's been coming to you in the physical, and so they want to remind you in the spirit realm too, that maybe it's, maybe you've known you've been living in the wrong house, but maybe it's because the mold content is so high that your depression comes from that. So there's a lot that can be learned from this other realm. That's an example I'm tapping out into, so I'm just saying that to you. So here's the deal, that might not be what every doctor looks at, and I'm not affronting doctors. I'm just saying that you might have to have a broader band base to work off of. And so this would be helpful. So ideally, you would know who are you working with, or who do you want to talk to, and what's the goal of the relationship? Why? Like I said, there's been times when I've called in all the co-students of someone that has passed, a teen that has passed, and I've had all the friends come around so that messages could be given. That's obvious intention. Sometimes I've connected, with loved ones, parents of loved ones that have crossed, or animals for animal communication and such like that. So really, if you want to develop your psyche side, as you know, we are body and soul. If you want to develop your soul's potential in regards to this connecting with the metaphysical awareness, the beyond physical awareness, you've got to kind of set the stage. What's your intention and why do you want to do it? Maybe some of you, I'm tapping out into, again, to anybody that's listening, is that maybe you're really frustrated in your work world and you want to have a different job, but you just don't know what it is you're supposed to do. I can't tell you how many times when I used to do privates, I'd be like, why are you doing this job? Because I'm hearing that you're supposed to be doing that job. And the person says, oh my God, I've always wanted to do that, but I didn't believe I could. And I'm like, listen, now's the right time. So who would I go to? Who would Constance go to for that? I, again, might ask for my own person. I would ask, I'd like to be connected to the highest being that's in line with my truth, that has come from God. That's because the term I use. That's aligned with my truth, that can come forward and guide me on this. Now, that's my intention. As soon as I cast out that net, I want high. I don't want someone that is just, I'm not going to ask my grandmother who passed some time ago. I want high. To the point that we all have angels, and so you could even ask your angel. I'm asked to be connected to my angel, and you better believe they're going to come running, but don't you dare discredit that they're there and that's how they feel. So when your intention is clear cut, I want to connect with my angel, please help me make this a strong connection, make this such a strong connection that I believe it, help me cast out any doubt. If this is for my highest good, come forward, connect with me, talk to me about my life's journey. I'm ready to throw in the towel. I'm so depressed. Or, oh my God, I know I'm supposed to change my path. Can you show me my new path? Or if it's too scary to show me the whole path, can you show me a few steps so I could get started? Oh, you want me to take a class? How would you get that information? Maybe you'd just come across as a feeling, or maybe you'd say, okay, I have a feeling I'm supposed to do accounting work. Okay, great. Then you ask for a sign. Can you show me like an accounting class in the paper? Or, you know what, I don't really have money. How can I do that? And then next thing you know, you're supposed to go to I'm going to just speak to women empowered. And then there's this great guest lecturer on getting involved with accounting. I mean, your angels can set up so much for you and help out. I posted on the Facebook site about this fabulous story. I was talking to my friend and I said, I need a flip cam. And she said, because I want to go sit with this friend who does the same. She's a medium, but she's also she's a doctor of Jungian psychology. So we have these amazing times where we have these intellectual conversations on this stuff. I said, I want a flip cam. She said, just ask your angels to take care of it and give it to you for free. I'm like, you're kidding. Within 3 hours, someone said, I have flip cams. I have black or pink. Which color would you like? For free. I was like, oh my God. It was phenomenal. It all happened because in the moment I had said, I need a flip cam to the exact right person. Why did I say that? Because Spirit said, say that out loud right in this moment to this person. I didn't discredit. I didn't go, no, I couldn't possibly. I said, I need a flip cam. And they said, I happen to have some. And I got down on my knees and I said, oh my God, my angels, you amaze me. If it's for the highest good, they're there to help. They'll make things happen. Yeah, because sometimes you can't share some experiences, because that's what happened to me. I had my first vision, like a religious vision in 8th grade, and I told the priest, and he poo-pooed it, and I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't real. And so then I went into one thing led to another, and I found myself in college in the world of psychic studies. And so I got the vocabulary, and if you just overmesh the time, medium, channel, seer, prophet, it's all the same thing. The language just was never there in the religious aspect where I grew up, but it's the same ways of communication. And I think the most amazing thing is that when you can tune in and feel like you needed some help. You were so sad and so downtrodden, And spirit, and it's right there. You can call on it or not, but it's there. For me, sometimes I tell people, just turn your attention to the light, man. Who's there, and what are you asking me? That's what I'm always like. What are you asking me? And I just won't connect with something that's a lesser evolved. I mean, I will talk with loved ones, but I've had my share of tricksters. There's trickster energy, spirits that are like just would love to take you for a ride. And so, when you open it up and say, let me just connect with anybody, you always need to ask, are you of truth? Like, because if someone comes talking to you, it doesn't mean you're supposed to talk to them. I always equate it to being at a party, and somebody comes up, and just because, I remember in college, I was like, I don't want to talk to them. You can feel it. I don't want to talk to them. Same in spirit world, and then there's somebody that you really connect with and you want to hear more from and stuff like that. So let's do a couple practice rounds. But let me just mention on this step page, I've kind of circled step 1, 3, 4, and 5. Because it's really, you know what? I'm gonna get a lot of people mad when I say this, but I am gonna say it anyway. Okay, now I've been edited. They're saying, please respect the masses, the crowds. I'm like, okay, fine. If you believe that you need a crystal to do this, and holding a crystal helps, then by all means, hold a crystal. If you believe that you need to surround yourself with light before doing this, then by all means, do that. If you believe that you need to whatever, to invoke whatever, or I do sound like a snob. You don't need anything. You just need intention. But if you believe you need something, if you believe it's going to take 20 hours, it's going to take 20 hours. If you believe you have to sit in long meditation, it's going to take long meditation. But if you believe that the connection is instantaneous, it will be instantaneous. You are designed to know truth. You are designed to be more than just a physical being. You are designed to have true communion with each other and the planet and the world and the animals. We are one. You are designed to have ultimate and huge relationship with the source, God, the great I am. And not only are you designed and created to have relationship with, you are designed and created to walk so wholeheartedly in that light, that you exude that light, and that you are always, always in the divine waking presence. So do not carry your baggage into your sessions. Always ask, do I really need this? What do I need to do for me? So for some of you, you'll have to surround yourself with light. I used to in the very beginning, and then after a while, Spirit's like, you know what? You don't really need to. You're all set there. You don't need to. You're in the light. You go high. You go higher enough that you just miss all the stuff that you don't need to deal with. All these, whether they're my own mental ego projections or whatever they were, just go higher. And so, anyway, whatever. Okay. So, I just want to keep going for a minute here. My work is about helping you get to your true nature. That part of you that is connected to the divine wisdom within, but also realizing that it's also without, because it's everywhere. My work is about getting you in sync with that voice within that is not of fear, that is not ego-filtered, that is of truth. And to use that voice to guide you through life, to not succumb to the dangers of your impressions or your temptations or your baggage, or not to be infiltrated by the negative aspect that you can carry or by chance carry, but to rise above it, to hear that voice of truth that is peace, that is love. You know, sometimes when I'm in the divine presence, because I used to read all those books, I am not saying there's anything wrong with contemplative books or those how-to, but I was like, wow, this is taking way too long. And God's like, it doesn't take that long, just come. Boop. And when I'm in that space of love, I weep, man, I weep, because it's so intense. But it's not supposed to stay there. You're supposed to be that in your day-to-day life. I'm supposed to take that awareness into when I deal with my children and, chop wood, carry water. I'm supposed to take that awareness when I deal with my neighbors, whether I can love them or want to leave them. I need to bring that awareness, that love place of acceptance and love everywhere in my life. Constance cannot do that on her own. I am too full of my own baggage. But when I am in that heightened place of awareness, that metaphysical state of divine consciousness, when I'm in that place of love, I can do anything. I'm going to use the God word that God wants me to do. I'm going to say these words. I can move mountains. But usually they're my mountains, my stuff that are my hurdles. It's easier than that, unless you believe it's not. If you believe it's difficult, then it will be. But I'm just asking you to suspend that disbelief. I'm just asking you to try different life for a while. I'm asking you to try to live from higher state of awareness. Because it's coming fast, man. Our evolutionary journey as humans is coming fast. It's upon us. It's been upon us since the beginning of time. Who are you? Who are you? I remember as a child looking in the mirror, in the bathroom mirror, and I was doing that like at, I don't even know how old. I was like standing there going, who are you? Who are you? Because I knew I wasn't me. Who are you? I remember seeing tons of different faces flash at me, back at me in the mirror, and I was like, whoa. It didn't really jive with my belief structure because I was realizing that I had all these lives. And so, of course, hello, shift your belief structure. For me, I have had many lives. What I'm saying is what I'm saying today you don't have to agree with me. I want you to agree with God. I want you to find your truth and your path. That's why I want to teach you to do this. I'm not doing privates anymore. I'm not taking on clients. My work is to get you plugged in to that voice of truth that resides within so that you can go forth and heal the nations and help each other and be of service and be of love. I don't mean you need to quit your day job. I mean to stay in your job and be of service exactly as who you are. I don't mean to pick up all the pieces in everyone else's life. But in that moment of doubt and untruth or unknowing, that's it, that's the word. In that moment of like, what should I do now? I want to help them. Ask and the words will be given you. This is what you should do. It's always what would love do. But you know what? I'm a parent. And so sometimes love doesn't mean I do everything for my child. And this is what God is saying to us too, Constance. I'm not going to do everything for you. You're going to have to move beyond some of this stuff that you've put before you that you think are hurdles. And I will applaud you when you leap over them and call on my grace to heal you. And I'm going to be there for you to support you and love you and adore you through it all. Where you're at, right where you're at. I know your struggles, God is saying to you, and to me at the same time. I love it when he says this. I know your struggles. I made you, and I adore you. And you have no idea how much I am after you, how much I follow you, how I'm with you to guide you. But you've got to listen to me. You've got to tune into your heart, to your knowing. It's a battle of wills, you and I won't lead you astray. I'm not leading you down any wrong path. Mine is always the path of love. It might be uncomfortable, but it's not insane. You'll know the difference. You have to know my voice. It's that voice of love that resides in each of you. It's that voice of truth. It is that voice of knowing. And God's saying, I know you know my voice. You hear it all the time. Why do you discount it? Kids today have so many voices in their heads. So do a lot of adults. Talking to them, saying, there's this great little sign I picked up, don't believe everything you hear, or don't believe everything you think. That's it. It's so true. That's why this is practice. What's that voice? Where's that voice of truth? Where's that voice of the divine within me that can guide me and carry me through my life so that I don't have to suffer so? I know they say life is suffering, but you know what though? even in the suffering, there's rising above and going, wow, I'm not really, it's all good. It's just this different state of awareness, man. It's trippy. I want you to tap into that voice, because I remember I had this great friend. She's a Shaw woman. She's a shaman, but she's a Shaw woman. She speaks for the elements. You know, I love that whole Lorax thing. I speak for the trees. She speaks for the elements. She speaks for the water. I'm like, that is so trippy. How can you channel water? But she does. She knows when it's polluted. She feels the pain of the earth. I know some of you out there do. I know you do. God is saying, I made you this way. I know who you are. You feel that we're out of balance. And you feel then you know that when you're out of balance, take care of yourself. I can't do everything for you. I'm trying to tell you all the time. And so for some of you, he's saying, why don't you listen? Now I say he, but it's not a he. You know God is great spirit, no sex. I said, can I stand up now? And he's like, can you just tell them how much I love them? They know this. Tell them anyway. God says, I adore you. I made you for a reason. I made you for a reason. I need every one of you. But you have to hold hands, man. You have to join. You have no idea. You're like insular. If you could see each other and see the world through my eyes, you would fall in love. You would stop the harm and pollution. The negative thoughts would dissipate. You would ask the trees, can I cut you down? And they'd say, by all means, no. Use the sun for your energy. I gave you so much here, God is saying. And you use and abuse, just like you do yourself. And then God also says, but there are those of you that are like my light workers, that are my light workers. I've cast you out like into the darkness to help wake people up and shake them up. And I am going to push you out of your comfort zone to do it, but you know that I am right with you. Because you speak my truth. You speak to their hearts and they know that they're doing wrong, or they know that they're doing, I'm going to change that word wrong, not love. The choice is love. Do everything in love. So I'm asking, can I hook them into you? Can we hook them into? Okay, I totally didn't know that was going to happen. This is the third chakra. Self-esteem, personal power, who you are, what you came to do. Mine's a little like, whoa, out of my comfort zone. Easier for me to say I talk with the angels, easier for me to say in my personal time I talk with God, but to actually say, whoo, here we go. God's saying, get over it. Like, yeah, thanks. You know, when I'm in that space, I feel holy presence. I remember giving a talk once in Australia, and the light was flowing through me so much that when I reached out my hand, I was compelled to reach out my hand and touch someone's heart. An old shoulder issue was healed. He walked away, and when he came back, he said, you healed my shoulder. I used to have frozen shoulder. I said, I did no such thing. That was God. That light you feel flowing through is God. We can all do this. We're all meant to do this. Now, does that mean we're all supposed to stand up and channel in front of groups? Not necessarily, but it definitely means bringing it into your day-to-day life. How am I to help? How am I to live? What is for my highest good, but what is also for everybody's highest good? What is for the highest good? laughing. I was like, wow, okay, so that's why Constance must have known somehow that was coming, and that's why I was reluctant to shut my eyes and really wanted to stick to my notes. And God is saying, you can run, but you cannot hide. You know, God for me is very funny sometimes, and then also God for me is very, very, very powerfully big, and sometimes God is that still, quiet voice. I sit every morning and have coffee with God because God knows I love coffee. And so I sit with my coffee and I sit with what I call my God journal. It used to be my weight journal. Thank God for OA. There's a little true confession. So God's like, you good on that tangent? I'm like, okay, no, embarrassed. Okay, so back to the God journal. I sit with God every day and I bring my problems and I say, what should I do here? What do you want me to do here? And sometimes it's God, sometimes it's just Holy Spirit or Spirit. You know, sometimes it's different. But it's usually my God journal. I encourage you to keep a God journal. Sometimes people say, but I don't hear. And I say, you know what, I bet you do. You just don't discern that voice in your head is God talking to you. You know, for some of you that are blessed, it's a different voice. For me, it's not. It's my thoughts in my head, and I have to discern when is it me talking, when is it you. It's because it's a dialogue. I ask, God answers. I ask, God answers, and sometimes God answers a lot. And I couldn't possibly remember all of it, so it's really fun when I get to write it down. But I'm a trooper because God's like, a long time ago, for today, could you just not eat? There's certain foods that don't agree with this system, dairy and wheat products. Could you just not do those for a while? And I was like, okay, I'll try my best. Totally couldn't, suffering servant Constance. I'm respinning this chakra for those of you that see energy work so that it, the angels are like, we'll work on that. Thank you. So, and then God is saying, see, had you been on the right eating plan, it would have been easier to hold the energy, which is true. You know, that's why we're all eating differently, or we're compelled to eat differently, because our energy is shifting. And so we have to be able to hold the higher frequency of vibration for those of you that are physics people. And so we're being called to make some changes, and they're not always easy. Trust me, I know this. I battle with God. My small self battles with the big self, the great I am all the time. But God's always right, you know, and when will I just surrender? This is why I had to have the henna tattoo, surrender. It's not easy. You know, we all have our addictions, or we all have our sadnesses that we have. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're blessed. I remember going to these, what were you? What were you? These, I was in the Amazon, and there were these wonderful Amazon men, and I don't know why my brain is editing what they were. They were from a tribe, and they were amazing, and they were reading cocoa leaves, and so I sat down in front of them, and everybody's getting different information, and they were, I don't know what I had to do. I don't know what, but they were reading my cocoa leaves. They were looking at each other back and forth, and they were laughing, and they looked at me, and they go, you have a blessed, you know, they had a translator, and she said, they're just saying that you have a blessed life. It's all good. You had a blessed life. I think we all have a blessed life. But I know some of you walk in darkness, and some of you walk in difficult times. But I know God is walking with you. So in my own struggles in my life, when I'm feeling downtrodden, disheartened, or feeling ashamed, or like I got that wrong, or I did that wrong, or oh my God, what am I thinking? What was I thinking? God's like, I'm like, yeah. God's like, can you just come up to where I am? And then there's this huge abundance of love, and there's no judgment. And God is like, I love you. Stop that. Don't listen to that negative voice that would have you stop in your tracks and not do my service work. Stop that. Come up to me. Look through my eyes. And I love and accept where I'm at and when I'm at. And then I say, are you going to ask me to make changes? And God's like, of course. I invite you to make changes. Let me show you a different path. And so I can see your struggles, because I'm being shown some struggles. I see that. And I know it's not always easy here. Some of you, this is not your planet of choice. And it is very difficult for you to be here, but I commend you for staying, because we need your help. Oh, you wonderful light beings that are trying to shift the vibration. I remember one time story again. I was gonna connect with my friend who was in hiking in the Himalayas, and the day that I did, I said, he came back from his trip, and I said, what were you doing this day? I was connecting with you in spirit. And he said, oh my God, I ran into this guy that had a black dog t-shirt. And so I said, I am on there, I live on the vineyard, and oh my God, the black dog. And next thing you know, they were both saying, do you know Constance Messmer? So that's how he got the message from me. So it comes out however. So you can connect with anyone right now if you want to talk to a non-vocal human that's here on the physical, if you want to talk to an animal, if you want to talk to a loved one, if you want to talk to God, if you want to talk to your angels. Be open to what happens, because the higher frequency you go, I flood in tears oftentimes. Be aware of any subtle sensations when we do this. Be aware of the voice that might... you ask a question, if you do clairaudience, you ask a question and the answer comes back. Be aware of any images that are in your mind's eye, like if we were all close our eyes and picture, a slice of pizza, we can all picture that. Or a donut, yum. That's how it is, it's on your inner eye. It's on your inner eyesight. Often, for others it's not, it's more than that. So, what you're going to do is, I just want to read through this because I think it's such a great little basic guide. It's a get quiet, relax your mind, focus your awareness on the being you want to connect with. This is all done by intention. So who do you intend to get in contact with? And you just turn your attention to them. Like when I was out passing the mountains, I was like, okay, what? And then, boom, the answer comes. So accept and be open to what comes into your mind's awareness immediately. After that, the ego enters in and like embellishes or makes up or discredits. So trust what you get, trust the first thing, and just maintain a keen awareness to physical and soul perceptions. If you get a being that you don't know, like maybe I would get in touch with a loved one or something, but if you want to get in touch with, I like to be connected with someone that's for my highest good. When you see someone or feel someone, or even if you don't hear anything, say, are you there? And then if you get a feeling of yes or a hearing a yes, then say, are you of truth? You're basically asking, are you of God? Are you a good guy? There's kind of a cosmic law I found that if they feel they can pull one over on you, to those of you that are new on this, if they feel they can pull one over on you, they might stick around. But otherwise, if you ask, are you of truth, and they're not, they'll go. I remember throwing light at someone who came and they were a poser. They were like, I said, you don't feel like anyone I want to talk to. And I threw light at them to just see, are you of God? Are you of truth? And they went, just like that. But if they feel like they can pull one over on you, they're going to try to stick around. And all you have to do is feel like, do I like this connection? How does it feel? Does it feel cold? Does it feel dark? Do they feel heavy? No, I don't want. I want to go higher. Give me an angel. Give me something higher. So, and also too, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you, while you're in there, is to ask for a sign. I remember, sorry about these stories, but they're the best way to illustrate. I used to teach people to connect, and I brought a young man in, and he connected with his father who had passed. And he was really, he wasn't sure that was really true. The information was good and all that stuff, but he thought he made it up. I said, ask your dad for a sign. Ask that you hear his name spoken, or maybe you see someone like him or something within the next 24 hours. Give him a time span. So he left my presence. He calls me like an hour later. He said, I can't believe it. I walked into a restaurant, and there, sitting up at the bar area, a guy, totally spitting image of his father. He was like, okay, I believe it. So ask for a sign. Definitely say thanks. Say thanks in a session if it's a being that you should thank. Like I said, with my dog, I don't always say thanks for connecting, or the trees, thanks for connecting. And then when you're done, you want to, a lot of schools of thought are disconnect or cut your energy off, or say, okay, great, I'm going to breathe in and ground my energy and be in my own body so I'm not carrying around their energy field. But honestly, when you do this stuff, that's why I said step 10, disconnect and ground in the physical. 11, or not. Someone asked me today, are you always open to spirit? I said, you know what? I am sometimes. I'm not so fully in that I bump into walls, although sometimes I do. But I always have an ear, like what should I do, or who, please be with me, or whatever. Higher spirit, not loved ones, but higher spirit, God, the angels. Absolutely. So we're going to take a minute now. I want you all to have someone in your mindset that you want to get in contact with, or even if it's just a dog or a cat or a tree or a person or an evolved being or an angel. And I always say, if you're at one level, maybe you want to go higher. And By this, I mean if you work with spirit guides, maybe you want to try angelic realm or up higher so that you could see what that feels like. Because these different realms of spirit, talking to a tree is going to feel quite different than talking to an angel, I promise you. But the great fun is hanging in these vibrational spaces and feeling what's that like. When I've connected with Buddha energy, very different than Jesus energy or Mother Mary energy. Very different. I'm just saying, this is how it is. So, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. I'm going to invite you to cast all disbelief out. I'm going to just you can even say in your mind, my heart is open. My mind is open to this potential and possibility of, and I believe this connection is going to be strong. Please help me make it strong. When you ask that, that's your prayer to your higher power, whatever it is. Help me make a strong connection. Because I believe it's for your highest good, you know? Help me make a strong connection. And so it's like making a phone call. You're going to dial up exactly who you wanted to speak with. Or you might now say, I ask to be connected to the highest being that's aligned with my truth. And I'm going to leave you in this space for a few minutes to have dialogue. And if you brought a pen and you have the paper, the handouts, it's a good time to journal the dialogue. Do not discredit anything, a fleeting moment, a thought, an image. It's really easy stuff, people. I promise you. Are you there? The angels are there, man. What do you want to tell me? Be like me, the journalist. Ask them questions to get the rapport and the dialogue going. So I'm going to shut up and let you have this experience for a little bit. But as you believe it, it is so. Trust what you get. Trust the first thing. Don't discredit. Go higher if you don't like that. Say, I'm going to go higher because this connection's not. I want a stronger connection. Please, God, help me make this connection stronger. So it's cold in this room, but you might feel the warmth in your heart as you make a connection. You might not see, but you need to believe and see what you can hear. Are you there? Yes. Who's there? How do you help me in my life? Do you help me in my life? Are you of God, or are you of truth, or are you of light? You can also ask God, what am I afraid of? Trust the first thing you hear. Again, they might sound like your thoughts bouncing back in your head, but it won't be stuff that you'd say. And when you are finished with this connection, I want you to thank them for coming. And maybe you do need to take a breath and turn your attention away from them and ground in your body physical. Just pulling your energy. That just means pulling your energy and your awareness just to your body physical, maybe starting in your feet, feeling your feet beneath you, wiggling your toes, breathing down. You know, because some of you really take off out of your bodies. Shoo, escape. So some of you, I'm hearing that some of you, when you see pictures, it's like a movie playing out. Or some of you get such a subtle image, you push it away before it even has a chance to come up. And some of you are just going to take these tools and try them at home later, where you have the privacy of your own home to fall apart. I'm just telling you, it does not take a lot. It does not. Don't let your belief system hold you back. I remember one time, I'm going to tell a story and then I'm going to ask you questions. I was working for a woman that does energy work. I have to tell this story because someone out there this is going to make sense to. I was working for a woman that did energy work, and I used to go in and change the sheets after she was done. I went in the room to change the sheets, and as soon as I stepped foot in the room, this, all I can say is like this dark energy attached itself to me. I was like, ah! I ran into the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and said, and the words were given to me as soon as I said them, I'm a gift from God above, I am filled with light and love. I'm a gift from God above, I am filled with light and love. The energy left. I was like, whoa, what was that? I went out and I asked the woman, what did you treat that person for? And she said, possession. I was like, ah! The energy was still in the room. Some of you, wicked sensitive. You pick up other people's negative energy like you read about. If I were you, I would ask for an angel that can help you clear or surround you with the angelic light so that you can be clear, so that you don't need to carry around that negative energy. Not all negativity that you carry is just energetic, though. Some of it is your belief system or your own stuff, that it's easier to carry that around instead of change. It's time to change. I'm going to use these words like I'm going to put on my big girl pants and grow up spiritually. It's time to change, but trust that you'll be guided by the source if you ask. So I would ask you to build relationship with. So I would take those steps home and actually put into practice a day-by-day practice time where you sit with spirit. That's the best way to strengthen this type of a connection, is to have it's time and experience. So it's like, all right, how did that session go? Was that easy? Was it not easy? Do I like that guide? I remember, there's been times where a whole lot of guides might flock around you, or you feel like there's a lot of people around, and it's like, you know what, I want the brightest and the biggest one that can come forward and make a good connection. And just really get demanding of spirit, of saying, listen, I need a real high-level guide that can come forward and talk to me, because this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm seeing these things, but it's not enough. What I would ask is for higher guidance. I want the highest being, and this is about you being serious and sincere. I am not going to settle for less. I want the highest being that's aligned with my truth that can come forward and give me guidance, so that you can learn how to deal with it when darkness comes in. And sometimes it is just saying, no, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to go higher. Sometimes there's this higher being that is aligned with our truth that can come forward and help me in my work world, or in my daily living, or helping me, is it for my highest good to communicate with spirits? Or where do you want me to be? Or what's this voice? I feel like, let me just say this, that sometimes who we get is not really who we want to talk to sometimes. Like, there's a lot of times where loved ones that have crossed over come in first, and they're more evolved than they were here, so they just want to ask forgiveness and everything, and they're kind of our gateway into the astral realm. When I was in session with teaching, people would often come in contact with a loved one, and then I'd say, okay, can they introduce you to someone higher, a guide or something like that? And so sometimes that stuff kind of happens. But clearly, though, I get that you can go higher. There's just nothing stopping you. Totally. I also think, get this, that you are more connected to the angelic realm than you realize. And so because there's this more claircognizance, where it's like a knowing, you are, they're like around you a lot. And so you just kind of end up in the right place at the right time, and it's them guiding. And so you might want to actually jump astral and go higher to the angelic realm. I was cut off from astral for a while. I was like, what happened? They're like, we want you to work with the angels. That's it, just the angels. And so I feel like there's someone in the loved one that have crossed over that wants to talk to you to kind of make amends and do some sorting, or to let you know they're fine. And then there's a higher. I would jump. Just, go home. And so how do you get that information on your own? You're like, I would go to God. I would say, okay, God, who knows everything. Because the way I got that information was I was looking through the realms. And then I was like, whoa, what's that about? Okay, wait, she's supposed to go, wow, look at all the angels that are always guiding her. Wow. So I looked. But what you could do is say, God, what's this about, or what should I do. And you could ask, give me signs, and you might be in bookstores where you're drawn somewhere that all of a sudden all these books of angels pop out at you. But not the cards of scantily clad angels, because that's not how they are. That bums me out. That and, yeah, the word intuitive and the word clairvoyant and that, and telepathy, those old words that just, the word psychic, there's nothing wrong with that word because it's soul. Anyway, that's all we have time for. So I want to thank you. I want to encourage you to develop the part of you that is connected to your soul self, to carry that in your day-to-day life so that you could have, that you could come at life from a more spiritual perspective, because otherwise it gets pretty heavy here in the physical. So I want to thank you very much, and yeah, and good luck on your journey. Good luck on your journey.